guys on FaceTime here. This is my UFID. This is the note card. Nothing on the back. Okay. So to begin, how many of the software developers in the United States workforce have had to teach themselves their own programming or framework without any prior class, such as in middle school or high school? Anyone? So the answer is it's close to 87%. So this shows that there's a lack of educational support in programming in schools of high school and middle school. This also shows the difficulty software developers face if they haven't prior taken a class when they're teaching a language themselves without any educational system or support to go with it. So today, I will discuss the negative effects from the lack of I will discuss the negative effects from software development shortage. I will also talk about the solution of having compulsory classes, such as mandatory classes in high school for programming fundamentals. And I will visualize a world with an increase in talent in software developers so that they can have more jobs accessed in the workforce. Okay, so my credibility on the subject. So I'm currently a computer science major. I've taken programming courses before. I've also taken Java. I know languages of Java, C, R. I've also taken a high school class before on programming fundamentals, which gives me firsthand experience in how important and impactful these fundamental courses can be when transitioning into the real world, or if you want to do that degree. So to transition over to the issues. So if you look at slide 3, according to recent US labor statistics, there were 1.4 million unfilled computer science jobs in 2021. And to counter that, there were only 400,000 computer science graduates a year. So with such a big difference, there's going to be a lot of people hired from boot camps or just self-teaching, having self-projects. So if they had that prior formal class that was mandatory, they would have already had experience, would have helped them transition and grow faster and have a better basis of support. There's also a predicted $162 billion a year in unrealized output due to the lack of talent. So many companies have had issues and have been finding difficulties with business development and transforming digitally, sort of like a digital transformation, without an increase in new talent, as they're always trying to find new people and there's just not enough people for the amount of jobs there are. And with everything moving digitally, technology is such a growth in the workforce. Coding has become such a big aspect in the workforce, and that's the way jobs are transitioning, are more computational instead of hands-on. Now we would discuss this, the solution by implementing compulsory classes. So compulsory means that it's mandated by law, such as like a Gordon Rule class. So this would be just like an algebra class, geometry, history, English. Even some schools will make you take psychology. So having this firm basis class written into law makes that you cannot graduate without this course taken, such as with PE. So this also helps students with having prior access before they make huge decisions in their life, such as, do they want to do this major? Do they want to code? If they don't want to go to college, do they want to just do their own projects? Which way do they want to go? So it's just like any subject. With kids don't have access to it at the beginning, they're just not going to know much about it. There's just the world of computer science and programming is just not known as much. Many people are just, I don't want to say ignorant towards it, but there's just such a lack of knowledge and a lack of being able to code in high school and in middle school. So I would also like to visualize the world with an increase in talent, and with more. I would also like to visualize the world with compulsory classes being mandatory. So this will help students have prior access to the world of programming before making career decisions, like I said before. So many kids choose their career path based on what they are good at, what they enjoy, what they excel in, and what they've had access to and exposure to. Exposure being the biggest thing, as programming doesn't have much exposure before college level. So to visualize this, with more kids having prior access to it and having to take the class, just like if people find that they love psychology or they love math or they love science or history or English, maybe that they'll find that they love computer science and can continue on that, either if they want to go to college or not. It's just that there's just no exposure now to it unless you take courses that are usually online. So to conclude, I would like to summarize what we've talked about already, which is that there are extreme issues with how around 87% of people, of software developers, have had to teach themselves a new language before. So that's also a huge problem. Then we also talked about the compulsory classes and how that can help kids have prior access to it. And if they do enjoy it, they can continue on and have they have their ease in transitioning to higher level programming will be better. So that a lot of times in like programming fundamentals 1 in college, if kids don't have prior experience, they're kind of just throwing everything at once. So are there any questions?
What did you say about it being like algebra and geometry?
So it would just be like a mandatory class, like a Gordon rule class, where you have to take it before you graduate. So it'd just be just like PE, geometry, history. Like you have to take a certain amount of those classes. So you just have to take one programming fundamental class, and that this would be done by 2050.
All right. I think that's good for the questions.
Thank you guys so much.